Parents of Reddit, what is most fucked up secret you are hiding from your children? That I've been changing every clock in the house on New Year's Eve to 3 hours early. At 9 PM we celebrate the new year, then hang out for an hour. He thinks he's breaking every rule and has a great time. Now that he's turning 11 this will never happen again. With phones and being somewhat smarter. Lol. Adoptive parent of 3 kids, 2 of which are biological siblings and cousins. Found out a year after the adoption that the biological parents were half siblings who shared the same dad. The bio parents found out after they had the first child and proceeded to have another. The kids are now 16 and 13 respectively and have zero clue that they are a product of incest. Unfortunately their biological grandpa just passed away, so there very well could be a big reveal coming in the near future. You probably already know this, but one generation of incest doesn't generally have any negative repercussions unless their dad and both moms all had the same genetic disorders. IMHO. If you tell them, emphasize that even though it's socially weird, they are medically normal and a result of a consensual relationship. I was the kid in the scenario. When I was like 12, my dad died of leukemia. He was never around much so I didn't see him often, but that was never the secret. I actually remember the day he took off and left us. Woke up one morning and there was a pile of new toys on the living room floor with a note for mom. Anyway, he started coming around when he received the prognosis. We developed something resembling a positive relationship before he died. When he passed it absolutely destroyed me. I still remember the funeral. I had to be dragged kicking and screaming out of the car because I didn't want to see it. In his will he left me his car, a Camaro, that I was supposed to get when I turned 16. His parents fought tooth and nail to keep it from me. They were really shitty people. His entire side of the family was, and we eventually just told them to fuck off and keep the damn thing. Fast forward about 15 years. I find out the guy that died was not actually my dad, he was my brother's dad. My real, biological dad has been living in the next town over 20 minutes from my house my entire life. My entire family knew about it, except for me. It was why my grandparents fought to keep the car. They knew I was not his son. I still don't know if he knew or not, but I assume so. My maternal grandmother has met him several times in my life. My mom said she never thought it was anything worth digging up. Said she intended for me to never find out. I've still never spoken to him. I know a name and an approximation of where he lives, as of about 10 years ago. Beyond that, I know jack about the guy. Grandma said if I ever want to meet him, she would help me contact him. Dunno if I ever will. Edit 1. After laying all this out, and thinking more about it, there's no possible way the dead dad did not know I was not his kid. Edit 2. For everyone asking me about the lady asking if I'm her husband, no, I am not married. My mom kept it a secret that the woman I was named after, her mom, my grandma, was stabbed to death by my uncle when my mom was 18. I always suspected my grandma had a tragic death because of how my mom would avoid talking about it, but I didn't know it was that tragic. Posting here so when my kids are old enough to snoop they get a split second of excited expectation before they are greeted by my saying I do really enjoy having sex with their mother. My father found out when he was in his 40s that his father was not his biological father. His mother, my grandmother, literally cheated on her husband with the milkman. My son's older half-sister molested him and that's why we don't see them anymore. Waiting until we can get into a psych for support before we break it to him. Edit. He was 3 when it happened so was able to tell us, quite graphically, what was happening. The sister also admitted it and said she did it because it was funny and she liked to hurt him. DCP, Child Protective Services, became involved and investigated both families but couldn't find anything suspicious. We are telling him because we very strongly believe it is the right thing to do. We don't know how much he remembers and would much prefer to give him the coping skills now instead of possibly letting him disintegrate into a non-functioning adult with massive problems. Thank you so much for all the support. It is a horrible thing to deal with but we are going to do everything in our power to love and support him. I am so sorry that so many of you had to go through similar situations. I am proud of every one of you for surviving and fighting. When I was a teenager, I'm 22 now, I found out that when my mom had me, my dad did not believe I was his kid. He even demanded a paternity test so he didn't have to pay child support on me because he really thought my mom had cheated on him during a business trip she went on. I don't know why, but a paternity test was never done. Or maybe it was and I've never been told, but it explained why I felt so distant with my dad for the first 10 years of my life. He always favored my older sister more when I was younger and called her daddy's little girl, etc. I felt like he hated me, and this explained why. Today he's the best dad ever. I don't know if something shifted or what, but me and him are extremely close now and he loves me endlessly. He's been such a great dad, especially when I was suicidal in high school and had really bad depression and anxiety. My mom's a little bit bipolar, so I've always been in a toxic household, and he was the only one to come and pick me up and just be there for me. Edit. Also, I look a lot like my dad, even get asked if me and my sister are twins all the time. So I think the whole paternity thing was just in spite of an ugly divorce. My father molested my daughter. She suppressed the hell out of it. We are still trying to figure out how to break this to her. We cut off all contact with them, but my mother feels that this is something that shouldn't affect their relationship if my daughter doesn't actually remember the incident. I don't agree at all, but that doesn't stop my mother from trying to contact us. She comes from an age when women just suffered and said nothing about it, and so feels that we should just accept my father's apology and move on. It's overall a very confusing situation that we, my husband and I, have trouble understanding how to handle. Edit. I am adding this here because I cannot even hope to reply to all those who've replied, no matter how much I wish to. My husband and I will be seeking a professional opinion on how to proceed in these circumstances. I only hope that we can be strong enough for her when our daughter will need us. Thank you all so much for all of your support and kindness. I appreciate it all very much. It's good to know that humans will continue to be there for each other through thick and thin, no matter the fact that we know nothing of each other. I value all your opinions so much. Thank you. Not a parent, but my parents held this secret away from me for a long time. When I was 3-4, my dad volunteered at a baseball park to shuttle people back and forth on a golf cart. Well, one night he didn't come home till really late and I went to hide but stopped to see that he looked scared and distraught. He is normally a rough and tough kind of guy and has a big heart. So I asked him what was wrong, but he said nothing and that he was fine. I believed him and went to bed. I woke up the next morning to see that our cousin, who doubles as our babysitter, was at our house but neither of my parents were. I asked where they went and she said they went to the morning service of church and not the afternoon service. Again, I believed her and never questioned any of it. Flash forward 10 years, my mom told me what really happened. He was shuttling some guy back to the parking lot when the guy put a knife to my dad's neck. He then proceeded to take my dad behind a dumpster and raped him. So when he got home he waited for everyone to go to sleep and then tried to kill himself by overdosing on painkillers. My mom woke up in the middle of the night, realizing that he wasn't in bed. She found him in the bathroom on the floor motionless and called 911, where was sent to the hospital where was treated. He is thankfully still doing strong. I don't know where I would have been without him. My son was planned, but after separating from his father when my son was 8 months old and having basically nowhere to go, no way to actually take care of us on our own, many times I thought about the possibility of dropping him off at the hospital and skipping town. I never did, and he is 8 now and we are very happy. I'm the child of a parent that hid something horrible until I was 27. One day when my parents has a domestic dispute, my dad called me just to get back at my mom. He said, "Do you want to know something about your whore mother? She slept with over 30 guys during our first 2 years of marriage." I just sat down and started stuttering. He said, "You know how people have always said you look different than the rest of the kids?" I said, "Yeah, that's because I'm not your dad. Your mom slept with my best friend and you were conceived. Another thing, your brother, the one just you get than me, I'm the oldest, belongs to my brother." My mom just bawled in the background without denying it. I just laughed. And then I went into 2 years of therapy. I'm not the parent, I'm the child, but my family kept it a secret that my brother was a child molester and that my grandpa had raped my mother and threatened to kill us grandkids. I found out because I told my sister that my brother had molested me and she told me about the rest. We were raised having a relationship with them like they were normal human beings. It's absolutely disgusting. Thanks for watching. Now here is a cute puppy. Please like and subscribe if you want more Ask Reddit.